Hello Tubesters, and welcome to another one of Gav's videos. Today we've got the second work in progress on my Native American for the French Indian Wars. It's mainly the base work. I did say I wouldn't be painting the figure until the base was complete. That went out the window within a few hours. I was waiting for some drying time, things to be done on the base, so I thought, well, why not? Let's make a start on the figure. By no means is he finished, there's loads to go on it yet, but you'll see in a minute that I couldn't hold to that, I wouldn't say promise, but you know, I did really think I'd just leave the figure till the end, but no, never mind. So if you'd like to join me down at the workbench, we'll take a look at this base mainly, go through a few bits and see what else I've done for the base, and introduce you to a few bits and pieces I want to put on the base itself, and we'll take it from there. So I'll see you down at the bench in a minute. Right guys, thanks for joining me down at the workbench, and we're going to have a quick look at this base that I'm working on. As you guys would have seen from the first instalment of the work in progress, this is that blue foam, and I've put a mixture of PVA and Polyfiller, which is a UK brand, which is you know, wall filler type of thing, you know. Fills in cracks and things if you're outside the UK. So I got out the airbrush for the first time in about 2 years, 18 months, I don't know. You know, it's funny, you talk to people about painting figures and they say, oh, I can't, you know, get my paint to look right on my figures and all this type of thing. And I always say to people, it's just literally perseverance, you know. Keep looking what everybody else does, take bits and pieces, see what works for you, change it around, you know, and you'll get there. But I couldn't practice what I preached on my airbrush. I've got a decent Studio Series compressor, iWater. I've just got an iWater Neo because I just wanted to, you know, obviously before I started throwing loads of money at it. As you guys know, I like watching everybody's scale models, and I've got that Striker 1 in 35 scale Striker to start in the next couple of months. I'm buying all my bits and paints and bits and pieces bit by bit for that. And I will be doing a few more scale models as I go along, hopefully with some figures with them as well, so you know, it gives me lots of interest. And I know I'm diverging there a bit, but what I'm trying to say is I just could not grasp getting that airbrush. I'd clog it up, I'd either have the stuff too runny, I'd be spraying probably one place too long and having it all running. And this was just on scenery, on buildings I'd done for people and that. And I just, you know, it's literally stopped in a box, in a big plastic storage box all this time. So I was determined to, I thought, what can go wrong spraying this base? I wanted to give the actual block of wood, which I will probably cover over and give another few sprays yet, but it's working, at least it's working. I got all that sprayed up, and obviously sprayed me two little pieces on top, so that all went well. You know, I had no blockages, no spluttering, or you know, so really chuffed how that's worked out for me. I then, and all that is obviously I've just painted some. So this isn't craft paint. This is expensive Vallejo's, because I hadn't got any, and obviously I'd got to go through the airbrush anyway. So. And I've been buying the odd bit of Vallejo, what was it? Vallejo Air, the spraying paint. And do you think I had any brown? I've got every green under the sun for some reason, and a few whites, but no brown. So this is just model colour put through the airbrush. I collect these during the autumn, which I haven't got a lot of, I must admit. These being birch seeds, which, you know, again, guys that have been doing this for years, you know, it's no secret, is it? But you use them to recreate leaves. So I've got some florist wire, which is, again, I've actually got some on the table, which is that. And I've twisted it round, some thicker bits, and just used some single strands. And that's some ivy. And it was a bit of a test, really. You see, I've got it going down there. I haven't got enough birch leaves. Probably I could probably do 2 of these, so probably enough for this actually, for this base. But it really is just a work in progress. But I've done all those just to see how they go and how firm, and they're great. I'm quite impressed with that. I didn't want to make them overly shiny. They often are. I may put another highlight on them, but I'm very aware that, you know, yes, I'm a commission painter for war game figures. I just thought I'd get that in there. But painting war games figures to painting a 54mm figure and the base and that, we tend to do obviously brighter highlights a lot, so they can be seen on the table as war game figures. So I'm very conscious of the fact that I didn't want to turn it into a war games look, if that makes sense. So I've left them this green at the moment with just the one highlight on them. They're sitting there, they're not hurting anything, they're all glued down. So as I go through this project, I can, you know, throw another highlight on them if I think it needs it. The gravel, obviously all the different gravels, I've got some different modelling ballast there. I can't remember where it's from, one of the railway modelling ballasts anyway. I've got obviously silver sand, play pit sand, which I use on my bases for my war games figures. That's in there as well. Now I didn't want to leave, you know, you can say, well, that's a bit crazy, Gav, why are you painting all these stones? My own personal view is, when you've got a painted figure and a painted you know, piece of wood here, it's obviously painted, it's obviously, you know, man-made, man-painted, and I just don't think, this is only my own personal view, putting stones in and leaving them natural looking, it just doesn't look right, and that sounds ridiculous. So I've painted them and given some highlights and put some washes over with some purples and that. As you can see, I've put my usual cork, bust up cork in there as well. That's still a work in progress. I've put a purple wash over them, and I've got to put some highlights on there as well. Again, no, try not to make it too war game looking, if that makes sense, with too many bright highlights. So they're a work in progress. I've got to see how they go yet. But I didn't want it all to be like a mucky brown. And as I've got these riverbeds, because the idea is this: it's in the summertime, and normally in the winter time, this little stream would probably fill up, you know, a bit more, a couple of feet probably. But obviously it's summertime, and you just got the dank dregs slowly filtering through the stream. I've put some water resin from MIG in here. Well, now they say not on the tub, actually. There's not a great how to use it on the tub, but I bought it from eModels, and on their site they said, you know, we advise, I think it's them anyway, saying advise, you know, doing 1 to 2 mil at a time, let it dry out, and then applying more if you want to. Well, all I literally wanted was you know, an old paintbrush and paint over, because you know, it's giving it a bit of texture which you can't really see, and it's just got, you may have even got that just by using a varnish, you know, a gloss varnish, but you know, I wanted to try these products out. I'll be using more in the future, so it was just a test really. I know a lot of people have said, oh, they don't like the drying time of these different products, but this is dried overnight fine, because there is only literally a mil or two, and it just gives me what I want. It's just got that glossy look. It's slightly textured with the brush, so no, I'm happy with that. Then I went and put, last night, glued me log into place, because really I was going to keep leaving it off, but I think what's the point, because really it's the focal point and I've got to build everything around it. So that's gone on, and obviously building everything around it, you suddenly realise there was huge gaps under it, so I've PVA'd the blue foam in again. So that's now going to have some filler on it and being painted in. As I say, I'm going this, you know, there is no proper plan, and really you should probably have a plan when you're doing this type of work, but I'm a newbie to all this. Yeah, figure painting, you know, I've painted one bust. This is my first 154, my first 54mm figure. All I really know is different scales of wargaming figures, so it's all a, you know, a learning curve. So that's going to be filled out and painted, and then realistically it's then build everything around it. Now let me just push that back a bit. I've made two little rotten stumps. This one's very much a work in progress. I've only put a base coat on it. That's to represent some type of cedar. and obviously it's going to have different, there's a few different colours on it. Now these might not get used. It really is like how they look, because that's I can't really show you with it on the bottle top, but something like that. So that's that one, and this is a birch one, a lot bigger, so I'll give you an idea of the scale. That's the birch one at the side, which I'm still working on. I put some green washes over. It's not really looking much birch like, and as a guy who's spent bloody 23 years climbing trees for my original job, it's very much doesn't look much like like anything I've worked on in my time. But anyway, again, it's just a learning curve, and so I'm going to keep working on that. And I thought, just for a bit of variance, you know, these might not get used at all whatsoever. I wanted this to be really old growth, where the bark's flaking away now. The wood's gone silver, more silver than the obviously more fresher stump down there. As I say, it depends how they look. If I still think they just look like a dowel with some putty round it, then it won't get used. But we'll see. So those are those. As I say, they may be used, they may not. This is the product I've used. Again, let's see if we can get this back. That's the Ammo MIG acrylic water. Of course, I can't remember how much I paid for it, but it wasn't expensive. I swear it was around £8 for that tub. So how long it'll last, I'll give you a quick squeeze inside. It says you can put different inks on it, or in it I should say, you know, if you're obviously separating some. Oh, that would have to come off, hang on a second. There you go, that's what it looks like inside. Greeny grey colour. As I say, I can't really give you there's lots of other people that have used this stuff. I've just done a tiny bit on this stream here, so I can't really give you how well it dries. But I think it's a product, probably, after I've seen people not slate, and I'm not saying slate MIG particularly, all these type things, people say, oh, they take too long to dry out and that. I think modelling's all about patience, really. Figure painting's all about patience, you know, whether it's War Games figures or larger scale. Just a case of, if that's as long as it takes, that's as long as it takes. But yeah, so this is MIG. I'm quite happy with that. As I say, I swear it might have been £10, but I think it's about £8. And providing it can give me some longevity, you know, on the shelf, and that's what it's supposed to look like. I would again, most of you modelling guys, if there's modelling guys watching this, they all know this anyway. But you know, I'd suggest, like I did, paint the base, put it on. Obviously, if you've got if you're building up more layers, you'll get more depth to it, and then maybe you might want to put your inks through. But no, that's my water. Now I bought two of these. These also happen to be by MIG. I'm not particularly, you know, one way or the other with all these products. I was just trying different things out. So this is the MIG Ammo, and it's the Nettle. Now I thought these were going to be photo etched brass, and that always terrifies me, because I always leave little bits shining away on it. But it's not. It's I'll just get it out the packet for you guys. It's got like a couple of sheets in here, and this is the Nettle, obviously, and it's and it comes with there's 3 or 4 of these wires, which to me just look like they're maybe slightly thicker gauge of the florist wire I've got, and you would literally push these out and individually stick them on, and you've got, obviously, they're supposedly that you don't have to paint them. Now that was £6. Now, you know, I don't know if that's, you also get a little, I don't know if that's shavings or what that is. I think that's to give the leaves some texture, as they would have with stinging nettles. But yeah, £6. I'm a bit, I mean, I knew what was in here, so you know, I bought it with my eyes open. I mean, I'm always running financially empty, and for the 2 packets of vegetation I've bought, six quid. You know, the figure itself was only around 15 quid, I believe, off the top of my head. Again, there's no instructions with it. You just, you know, there's your wire, stick them together yourself, which I suppose is fairly self-explanatory. But you'd have thought they would have put a basic how to stick them together. But yeah, so I'm going to be using both types. This is the other one I bought, which is more another woodland one, which is ferns. And again, it's two packets. That looks like it's obviously you'd fold all that up, so it'd be 1 fern, and there's a few, you know, before they've actually opened up, and a couple of singles. There's another one there. Yeah, you know, it depends, I suppose, how much you're going to be throwing at your diorama. We probably wouldn't be able to, you know, without you. I don't know if you'd actually be able to make those out of card or paper. You know, actually say what, you know, to make them look like a fern if you were having a go yourself. So they may well be worth it. Until I stick them on, I don't know, and I will use them all on this particular dio, or base, I should say. But yeah, so that, you know, that can be quite expensive. You know, I mean, looking at this ivy here, I've made myself birch seeds, and yeah, people probably actually they look like ivy anyway. But you know, people often use them for leaves as well, scattered on the ground, and that hasn't cost me anything. You know, apart from, you know, I bought I think about 8 quid's worth of florist wire, which was a great big bunch tied together, you know, which will last me bloody years. So, you know, it hasn't cost me a great deal of money, and I'm going to be putting some more of that around the place. But again, it's all a learning thing for me. What products are out there, you know, what I can use them for. So yeah, you know, again, I've bought all this stuff. It's not been given to me or anything like that. So we shall see. We shall see what they look like at once they're actually on the base. And then one last show, which is the figure itself. I've given him blue cloth leggings. They would often wear blue, reds, and greens. Well, I would imagine any fabric that was out there, really. So don't feel that you've got to go down the route of putting it in buckskin, because you don't. And I'm lucky that I happen to have a fair few books on this period, different ospreys and whatever, and with a lot of artwork in, so I was quite happy to go down that road. I just wanted to make him look a tiny bit different. Obviously his moccasins will be buff, and this bag here is going to be buff. Buckskin, I should say, rather than buff. So the shirt is all Vallejo model colours. This is all scale 75, giving that really matte look as it does. And so is the jacket. Jacket's still a work in progress. I've just been doing bits on him when I've had 5 minutes. So yeah, he's coming along. I'm a bit undecided yet with the breech cloth, what colour to actually do that yet. Obviously you try not to. Originally I was going to do it a dark blue with a red stripe, but that was when I was going to make these leather, and I'm a bit dubious about putting dark blue and then dark blue. So it might be a red one. I've yet to decide. So guys, that's work in progress number 2. And for a short video, as usual with Gav's videos, it's just unwound, hasn't it, really? But never mind. You know, I'm sure most of you will watch the first minute at the start and the minute at the end, and that'll be it. So you won't have to suffer too much. So next time you see it, which will be probably in the next few days, it'll be, you know, a few more steps further forward, we hope, and I can bore the pants off you with another look. Oh, one last thing, that's florist wire. Again with Gav, I've been planning to do this figure for months, but did I go looking out for some roots and that to dry out and use as roots. No, I didn't. So I put the florist wire in. Well, it tended to look like electrical cable. I've tried putting a bit of Vallejo plastic putty on just to try and make it more, you know, more not so round, if that makes sense. I'll only know if it's really worked, and I don't think it has when I paint them. But yeah, they're all supposed to represent tree roots, not wire conduits and water pipes. So yeah, thank you very much, guys, for stopping by and taking a look. I hope you're all progressing well with your projects. You keep safe, and thank you very much for stopping by and taking a look at my videos. It's always appreciated, even if I don't always say it. And we will catch each other very soon on another video. Cheers.